Okay, I'm going to share my screen and go into present mode. Okay, so hello and welcome to this Momentum Monday series webinar topic all about selling is helping learn to sell with confidence. Now, I've been doing these webinars live every couple weeks. The goal was between, a couple months ago I started them. I wanted them to run through the end of the year. And when I was brainstorming topics of what do I want to talk with my fellow dietitians about, this is one that came to the top. This is a topic I am so excited to talk about for many reasons. And I think part of it is a lot of dietitians are so uncomfortable with selling. We didn't learn how to sell in school, we learned how to be dietitians in school. And so diving into the world of entrepreneurship, into the world of side hustling, golly, it can feel so uncomfortable selling. Or we get in our heads about, oh, I don't want to sell, or what do people think of me when I sell? So, we have a few goals of the webinar, and I guess I will share kind of what to expect and the agenda for the next half hour. The first thing of what to expect is that this is going to be a 30-minute training. Now, the topic of selling, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. So, I really dove into what are the key things that I want you to know and that I want you to walk away with. So we're going to be going for about 30 minutes. There will be time for Q&A if you guys have them. And I want to give you guys a heads up that I will be selling because remember, selling is helping. And I'll just be sharing a little bit about a book I wrote. So, our agenda for today, we're going to be talking about five main things. Number one, confidence. That's kind of the selling point here, right? Selling is helping learn to sell with confidence. So if we want to do that, we have to start with talking about what is confidence, what it is, and then how to get more. Then we're going to talk about foundations. What are some of the things that we actually need to be doing before we ever get to sales? Then we're going to talk about the who, and this is really understanding who you are selling to because oftentimes we're selling to people at the wrong time. And it's not a matter of we don't have something good to offer, it's just we're not selling to the right people at the right time. Then we're going to talk about a few selling formats, different ways to sell different things, and then ending off with selling mindset, some of those non negotiables, because I really do believe that selling or mindset is everything, especially when it comes to selling. So let's dive right in. Now, I know we got a couple people on live. A few people will be, well, I know quite a few of you will be watching this on replay. But I would love to know for those on live, and even if you're watching this later, just pretend, just pretend. I want you to think, how comfortable are you with selling? Think of a scale from 1 to 5. One is selling is horrible. I hate it. I want to help people, but this is just I hate it. 5 is like, woohoo, I cannot wait to sell. I think it's so fun. 3 is somewhere in between. So, for those of you on live, if you're able to go ahead and put that in the chat. And for those of you watching this on replay, just kind of consider where are you on a scale of 1 to 5? Dana, thanks for sharing. Dana's a 2. Yeah. April is a 4. Awesome. Awesome. So, my hope is by the time we're done with this webinar, you guys move up a notch, at least, if not more for you, Dana. So, okay, so let's start off talking about confidence. What is it? Now, there's many different definitions for confidence, but I really like this one. Confidence is a feeling of having little doubt about yourself and your abilities, or that feeling of trust in someone or something. So, when it comes to selling, we need to have confidence. This means having little doubt in ourselves and our abilities. But for a lot of people, we never learned how to sell. So it makes sense if we have a lot of doubt in our ability to sell because, gosh, it's not a skill set that we built over time. And it's also a feeling of trust in someone or something, maybe trust in yourself to be able to sell without feeling salesy or spammy. So, how do we get that confidence? How do we get that feeling of not having that doubt? Feeling like, yes, I've got this. Yes, I could do this. Yes, I can sell and I want to sell. How we do this, there's really two main ways. Number one, I think this is really important, is understanding the selling process. So often a dietitian will put out an offer and someone won't buy and they internalize it like, oh my gosh, my offer sucks. What's wrong with me? Why can't I get people to buy? What is wrong with this? This is failing. Instead of understanding the process of how sales works. Now, one thing that is the reality of entrepreneurship is most people will never buy from you. We serve lots and lots and lots of people, and a small percentage of people buy from us. This is normal. So understanding the process is going to help with that confidence. So when someone doesn't buy, You're not like, man, what's wrong with me? I'm not good at selling. It's understanding the process. And then number two, one of the best ways to gain that confidence is practice, practice, practice. Selling and confidence, it's a muscle that you have to build with time. We get better by doing. And even when it's uncomfortable, leaning in to authentically selling. And we'll talk more about that on my mindset slide. So, we're going to be talking first off about some of those foundations because if I want you to have more confidence, I need you to understand the sales process and then practice. But let's talk about what the process of sales looks like. Now, I mentioned this webinar is going to be 30 minutes. So, I was like, what can I cram in that is most important? Because there are so many different things we could talk about when it comes to sales. But there are two slides I have on foundations, and these are the foundations that need to be in place before you ever put out an offer. Now, the number one thing is understanding your audience. All of you who are watching this, you have different specialties, different areas of expertise. And one of our jobs as entrepreneurs is get to know our audience better than anyone. Now, I have this little graphic that I have down below that I use this. You're going to see it like 3 or 4 times in today's presentation, but this is something I use with my students, and we talk about the gap. With our audience, we need to understand, where are they now? What is their current situation? What are their struggles? What are they dealing with? What are their dreams, their aspirations? Like, what is their current situation? Then we need to understand on the other side, the desired situation, where they want to be. Again, those big goals, those big dreams. What do they want more than anything? Now, the gap is getting them from where they are now to where they want to be and helping with overcoming any barriers that would normally get in the way. Now, closing the gap is selling. This is what we are doing with our offers. Our products and services are closing the gap. So before we even sell, we need to make sure that we truly understand our audience. We need to understand their pain points. We need to understand their dreams and aspirations. And we need to make sure that we have something, a product or service that can adequately bridge the gap. And part of understanding your audience is understanding what is it they want. Sometimes we could jump ahead and be like, here's what they need. But sometimes we got to take a few steps back and make sure, am I really understanding my audience? And one of the best ways that you could understand your audience is talk to them more often. Now, another big foundation is understanding the sales cycle. I teach this a lot to my students. I know April is in some of my programs, so I hope, April, that you have this memorized. But this is the whole process of entrepreneurship, how we make money, how we sell. So it is a cycle, meaning it is continuous. We start off here with marketing. This is getting in front of lots of eyeballs. This is letting people know that you exist. One of our biggest problems as entrepreneurs is people just don't know that we exist. So getting the word out there of who we are, how we help people, what we do, and getting more eyeballs on our stuff, but more importantly, the right eyeballs. We do marketing lots of different ways. It could be through social media, it could be through blogging, it could be through podcasting, it could be from getting in front of other people's audiences, speaking at events. If you're maybe someone who practices locally, maybe you network with local providers. But marketing is really, really important for many reasons, but I'm going to come to that later. My brain's jumping. So lots of eyeballs first. Then we want to get leads. So lead acquisition is next in the sales cycle. And this is where these people find us. Okay, they know that we exist. This is where we offer them something that's very, very valuable. A good freebie, a lead magnet is what we call them. Something that provides them so much value that they're willing to give us, their email. So this is getting people on your email list. And what's important about this is when it comes to marketing, social media, the different platforms, oftentimes people will see your stuff, but then they leave. And we are dependent on those platforms and those algorithms to show our stuff. Now, if we can get someone's email, we can communicate with them directly through their inbox. Now, of course, they don't have to open the emails and, they can always unsubscribe, but that's okay. It gives us an opportunity to provide massive value and serve them before we even sell. So marketing, then lead acquisition, then we get to sales. And sales is where you put out your offers into the world. This can look like lots of different things. I have another slide where we'll talk about a few of the different formats for selling, but this is where you present an offer and the right people hopefully buy. Fulfillment is where you fulfill on what was purchased. I feel like this is the easiest part for dietitians. The harder parts are the sales, getting people on your email list, and getting more eyeballs on your stuff. Now, this is a continual cycle. This is what you continue to do when it comes to entrepreneurship. When I encounter a dietitian who's struggling in business, it can almost always come down to a bottleneck somewhere in the sales cycle. Maybe it's not marketing enough. There's not enough people. Think of it as a big funnel, right? You want to get in front of lots of eyeballs because not everyone's going to get on your email list and then not everyone's going to buy from you, but the more people you get in front of, the better. So before you ever sell to anyone, you need to make sure that you understand the sales cycle. And also understand that serving comes before selling. Serving is providing value. Serving is building trust. Serving is showing people, I know my stuff, I understand you, and I am here to help you. And it is gaining that trust, it is earning that sale. And then the last point I have down here is that you need someone to sell to. This is often the biggest and most difficult part when it comes to making money as an entrepreneur. To make money, you need something to sell and someone to sell to. Most of us have something that we could sell, whether or not it's a product or a service, but the hardest part is finding the someone to sell to. So maybe a struggle that a lot of dietitians have with selling is that they just don't have enough people to sell to. And so that's where the sales cycle comes in. Instead of thinking like, oh, what's wrong with me? Why are people not buying? It's understanding you don't have enough people in your world. You don't have them on your email list, so you can't provide that nurturing and that value and that, building the know, like, trust factor. So we need to have someone to sell to. So these are the foundations before we ever start selling. Now, let's talk about the who. So maybe you have people in front of you and you're like, great, opportunity to sell. We need to make sure that we are selling to the right people at the right time. So what I have up here is just types of leads. Cold, warm, hot. You've probably heard this before. Cold leads, warm leads, hot leads. But I really want you to think about this for a minute because sometimes like we'll put out an offer and we'll feel like, oh, that fell flat. No one bought. What's wrong again with me because we internalize these things instead of understanding that maybe who I sold to, it wasn't the right time. So a cold lead is a person who is they are your ideal client. They're someone who would totally benefit from what it is that you have to offer. But they quite frankly don't know that they have a problem. And if they don't know they have a problem, then they're probably not going to want to buy from you. They also don't know that there's a solution, which makes sense because if they don't know they have a problem, they don't know there's a solution to the problem they don't have. But hang in there with me because it makes sense for the next two. A warm lead is someone who understands they have a problem. They're like, okay, I'm struggling with this, but they don't necessarily know what the solution is or that you have the solution. So a warm lead is someone who's like, okay, yeah, they're primed to buy, but they don't even know what the solution is. A hot lead is someone who knows they have a problem and they know that you have the solution and they are ready to buy from you. So our goal with, I'll go back to the slide, the sales cycle is to move people along from cold to warm to hot, understanding not everyone's going to buy from you, but getting them to a point that they are ready to sell. We don't want to be selling to cold leads. Then we're going to be frustrated, right? Like, why is no one buying? Warm leads, there's some work we got to do. Hot leads really are the best people to sell to. Now, I put some words over here so I wouldn't forget to share this with you guys. But one thing that I want to emphasize here is that selling is not just an exchange of money. Now, I think for most of us, that's what we're trying to do, right? We want to make money, we want to help people, we want to make impact, we want to have clients to work with. But understanding as we move people along from being cold to warm to hot leads, there's different things that we sell at different levels. If someone's a cold lead, what do we sell them? We're not going to sell our product or maybe our high ticket offer. What we're selling is attention. If it's on social media, we want them to stop the scroll. We want them to watch our stuff, to learn more, to maybe like, to comment, to subscribe, to follow, to get on your email list. We want people to be aware of like, whoa, I never thought that this was an issue, but wait a minute. Let me consider this a little more. Something else you can sell is email. We talked about lead acquisition, getting people on your email list. So having a really good freebie, someone gives you their name and email, that's something valuable they're providing you. That is something that you're selling, like, sign up for my freebie. You are asking for their email. So someone who is a cold or a warm lead, maybe that's what you're going to do. You're going to sell getting on your email list. Selling could also look like events. Now, a couple of you are on here live. I know more of you are watching this on the replay. I sold an event to you guys, free event, but you guys showed up, you guys watched the replay, you guys are sharing your attention, but you guys are joining me on this process. So selling isn't just selling your product or service. It is getting attention. It is getting people on your email list. It is getting people to join different events that you're doing. And that is moving them up the process of becoming a warmer or hotter lead. Now, there's one more slide that I wanted to share that's related to this. This is actually from my business coach, Greg Todd, and I really love when he talks about this. And this is the awareness funnel. And again, it comes down to sometimes we are selling to people at the wrong point at the wrong time. So, this is what the journey looks like of someone becoming a customer. Now, I'm going to give a specific example here. Through my blog, The Geriatric Dietitian, I sell a course called Gaining Weight Made Easy. This is a course that's really focused on people who are losing weight unintentionally, who know that they need to gain weight. They're really, it's about protecting muscle, it's about maintaining independence. And so I'm just going to kind of give the example of this course as we go down the awareness funnel. Now, I kind of mentioned this in cold leads. Someone doesn't know they have a problem, they don't know you have the solution. So, someone who is a cold lead, our number one thing is awareness. We need them to understand that we exist, but then also to become aware of the problem. A lot of people in my niche, they don't understand that unintended weight loss is a big deal. In our culture, someone loses weight, people are like, congratulations, good job, what's your secret? Where the geriatric dietitians are freaking out like, your muscle mass. So part of it is awareness of like, did you know that losing weight unintentionally can cause you to lose muscle, which can cause you to fall, go to the hospital, go into a nursing home, lose your level of independence? That's awareness and like, whoa, I never thought of it like that. Okay, you got my attention. So first off, we need to get awareness. Then it's not just enough to be aware that this is an issue, but then it's actually interest in getting help for it, interest in the solution, interest in actually like, okay, maybe I actually want to do something about this. Okay, I understand this is an issue, but yeah, yeah, this is actually important to me. I want to maintain my muscle mass. I want to continue to be healthy as I age. Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I'm not just aware, I am now interested in what it is that you are talking about. So then someone moves to consideration. They are considering, what am I going to do about this, right? Am I going to go to ChatGPT and ask, what do I need to do? Or am I going to go through a registered dietitian who could actually help me? So considering, is this something I actually want to do? And if someone decides, yes, it is what I want to do, then they're intending to buy something, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is from you. So at that point, they begin evaluating, what am I going to buy? Who am I going to buy from? What is going to help me? Is it a product? Is it a service? And if they evaluate, you have all the information there, and they decide, you know what, you are the one to help me. They're now a hot lead. They end up purchasing and becoming a customer. So I hope that makes sense. But when it comes to selling, it's important that we understand who we are selling to. If we try to sell to someone who doesn't even understand that there's an issue, if we try to sell to someone who's not even considering buying, if we try to sell to someone who's has no intention of buying, and then they don't buy, it's not necessarily that, our product or our service isn't good. Again, it's that we don't understand that sales process. Instead of understanding, okay, it is my job to move them down the awareness funnel. And we do that through the sales cycle, providing value, serving people, and getting them from cold to hot leads. So I wanted to give some examples of what to sell. And so now I will say again, I feel like we could do like a full week-long workshop on sales, and this is a 30-minute webinar. So this is just a very broad overview of different things you can sell and the format in which you might sell. So let's talk about low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket. Some of you have offers right now. Some of you are working on building out your offers. I consider low ticket anywhere from like $5, maybe a digital product someone buys, to a $99 product. So maybe this is like my Gaining Weight Made Easy course is a $97 product. It's more on the high end of low ticket, but it's not like a huge investment. So low ticket really is $100 or less. So how do we sell low ticket? Now, if the price is low, it doesn't take as much to make that sale. So maybe it's just having a sales page on your website. Maybe it's putting posts on your social media page. Maybe it's partnering with other people, getting in front of their audiences, going on podcasts, going on other groups as Facebook Lives, getting on their email list, and sharing about a product or a service that you have. At the end of this webinar, I will be selling my book, Dietitian Side Hustle, and it is low ticket. So, it's something that doesn't take a lot to sell because it's not a huge investment of money. But then we get to mid-ticket. This is anywhere from $100 to $999, pretty much less than $1,000. So it takes a little bit more to sell these products because that's a good chunk of money for people, right? So, of course, all of the above, but this also might look like getting someone on a webinar. I call this a conversion event. Getting someone on a challenge. This might be a 3 day or a 5 day challenge. And this is where someone actually gets to work with you. They get to learn from you. They get to see your style. You get to move them along the awareness funnel, is what you're doing. You're providing massive value, but then helping them to see and to understand, wow, I really do have a problem and there's a solution. And at the end of those, you present your offer. And for anything that's $1,000 or less, I would say a good webinar or challenge, as long as it's done right, could be a good opportunity to sell. But then when we're talking high ticket, and this is typically $1,000 and beyond, it's going to take a little bit more to sell. Most people aren't going to buy high ticket through an email. Most people aren't going to be scrolling on Instagram, see your post for your $5,000 offer and be like, oh, I don't even know this person, I'm going to go buy. It's a process, right? So it's all of the above, but then also sales calls. And this could look like getting on a call with someone, and I'm actually going to share in the next slide the process that I use for sales call, but really moving them along the sales process. So the reason I wanted to share this is to understand that sometimes you might be using the wrong sales format. So you're selling something that is maybe a higher ticket item and people don't know you yet. You got to build the know, like, trust factor. It takes so many contacts with you before someone is like, you know what, this is the person I want to work with. So when it comes to selling, it's also understanding what it is you're selling and the format that you're selling through. Now, I wanted to share this, and this is for high ticket. This is the process that I use for sales calls, but also it can be funneled down to how I do selling on every single platform, whether or not it's a sales page or whether or not it is through a webinar. It just looks different. But this is the sales journey that I bring people on when I get on a sales call with people. Now, I will tell you guys, when I get on sales calls, I like to call them clarity calls because my goal is even if someone doesn't work with me, I want them to get off our call with clarity and confidence because selling is helping and I want to help them even if they don't end up working with me. So the journey when I get on a sales call, the first thing I want to do is build rapport, right? We don't just go right into the sale. We want to have a little bit of conversation, get to know each other just a little bit, right? Then we dive into their current situation. Remember I said I was going to bring this up a few times. Where are they now? Where do they want to be? How are we going to close that gap? And also, like, what are the barriers that are getting in the way? Like, why is this something you're not able to do on your own? So having a conversation where you dive into their current situation. Where are they now? What are their struggles? What led them to get on this call with you? Then you inquire about their desired situation. What do they want? What do they want life to look like maybe 1 year from now or less? What is it that they want more than anything? And then take time to understand the gap. What are the barriers that they as an individual face that prevent them from getting to that desired situation on their own? Maybe they've tried over and over and over again and they feel like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Really taking time to understand that gap. Now, I will say I always ask people, is there anything else you want me to know? Because sometimes there's something, something, big that hasn't been brought up, and sometimes they'll say, no, nothing. And then, if if based on our conversation, I have decided based on where they are now and where they want to be, my product or service can close the gap for them, then I ask for permission to share more about how I can help them. And I present my offer. And if, close the sale if they're the right fit. And if they're not, that is where we might refer on to someone else who might be a better fit for them. So in the sales call, really your job is to provide clarity. Help them to get clear. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? What's getting in the way? Talk less and listen more. When I'm on a sales call, I talk very little. I am listening. I am getting them to become aware on their own by asking the right questions. And as I talk back to them, I'm using their own words, their own language. My job is to transfer energy, to transfer trust, and to validate them. Because regardless of what it is that you are doing, what it is that you're selling, there's a reason that we're selling. There's a reason that we have a product or service to help people with because things in life are hard. So validating where people are and why it can be so hard to do it on their own and the extra help that they need to get there. Our job is also to clarify what's the time commitment, what are the outcomes they're going to get from working with you, and what is the solution and the path to get there. So I hope this is helpful. This is what I use on sales calls, but if you look at anything that I do, it's kind of the same journey. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? What's getting in the way? How can I help? So let's talk now about mindset because this is really what it's all about. Of course, understanding the selling process, but mindset is everything because I want you guys to leave our little training feeling so confident that yes, selling is helping, and I want to become more confident when I sell. Now, remember at the beginning, we talked about confidence as a feeling of having little doubt about yourself and your abilities, a feeling of trust in someone or something, and specifically related to selling, I want you to have confidence in yourself when it comes to selling. Now, confidence is a feeling, it is a belief, it is something that we can change. And we talked about this at the beginning that the first step is understanding the selling process. And then the next step is actually doing it. Practice, 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 building that muscle. But I do have a slide up here where I want to talk to you guys about some mindset concepts just to consider. And I just have some notes up here and we're just going to talk about this and have a conversation. So, when it comes to your selling mindset, I think one of the important things we have to start with is what are your selling beliefs? We all have experience with salespeople. I know I often think of like the sleazy car salesman. Like, I hate buying cars. One time I found a good salesperson, but for the most part, it has been like, oh my gosh, this is just not it. And for me, a lot of the experience I had with selling was just like, oh my gosh, selling is yucky. I don't want to be like that person. I don't want to be seen as sleazy. I don't want to swindle someone. I don't want to be like that. But then okay, I'm jumping the gun. Okay, so first off, understanding what are your selling beliefs? What is the underlying belief that you have about selling? How do you see people who sell? I know early on for me, when I started charging for my services, I always had to explain to people how much I volunteered, as if justifying that I work for free justifies the audacity of charging for my products and services. But it really comes down to diving into that root issue and your mindset. It also has to do with having confidence in your offer. We talked about closing the gap. Your product and service closes the gap. So the question is, how confident are you in your offer? Sometimes people struggle with selling because they're not necessarily confident in their offer. And I will say this is twofold. You might actually have a really good offer, but you're not confident in yourself. So you feel like, who am I? I haven't been a dietitian long enough. Other people do it better than me. And you get in your own head and you don't have confidence in your offer because you think, gosh, I'm just not good enough. That's a whole other discussion about building up mindset. But it's something to be aware of because sometimes the reason we struggle with selling is because there's a deeper underlying issue that's like, no one's going to buy from me. Who do I think I am? This is never going to work. But also, it could be I don't know if this offer is actually going to help people. And I'm not going to get into the weeds of this, but one thing that you can do if you have a brand new offer and you're not really confident it's going to work, do a beta offer. Offer it at a discount price. And then you put out this product or service and it's at a discount price and you learn from the person who's going through it. So you learn from them what's working, what's not working. You get their feedback. And then by the time you're done, you are so confident in that offer because you know it works because you worked with someone and you communicated with them and you got the feedback in real time. So now, this thing here, can you help them? We talked about the gap, where you are now to where you want to be. And if you've identified, yes, I know I can help them. I want to share a quick story about what one of my business coaches once told me. They told me, Katie, if there are people out there right now who you know are struggling, they are suffering, they are dealing with significant issues, and they don't have to be. And you know that you have the ability to help take them out of that suffering, to take them out of that struggle, then you have a moral obligation to sell to them because there are people out there right now struggling and you have the ability to help them. And one of the biggest issues is that we get in our own heads, we get in our own way, and we are preventing other people from getting the services they need because we aren't taking the time to learn how to sell, to build our confidence in selling and actually putting out offers to sell to people. And I remember when he said that, I was like, oh, dang. Okay. Okay. I'm going to sell. And I really became like on this obsessive journey with learning how to sell because I realized that if I want to help more people, I need to get better at selling. So, my next point, of course, is the title of this presentation Selling is Helping. And one thing I will say about all dietitians, all healthcare providers, is that we are helpers, right? We got into this profession for a reason. We truly want to help people. And when we understand that by selling people, they are getting the opportunity to work with us to get their life changed, then that is helping. And that is something that not only we can do, but we will do by continuing to practice. Now, this phrase here, you better sell. This is my other business coach. He said this one time on a call. He said, "You better sell." Similar point to the moral obligation, but he was talking about all the people out there who need what it is you have to offer. And when he said, "You better sell," I wrote it on a sticky note and I had it on my desk for like 2 years. And I would look at it every day. You better sell. So that's going to be a closing message I have for you guys. But this is something that I want you to really consider as you move away from this webinar is that if you have skills and services that you could truly help people, then you better sell. How do you do that? You practice. You do it over and over and over again. You embrace done is better than perfect. That's a mantra that I always teach my students. And one thing that I will emphasize is that you don't have to be perfect at selling. It could feel clunky at first, but people can feel genuine. And if you are talking to someone or, putting out an offer and you truly believe you can help them, in your bones, you could help them, people can feel that. They're not going to feel like, oh, they're trying to swindle me. They're trying to make a buck. They're going to feel that like, no, they actually want to help me. How can we make this work? So, you guys, selling mindset is everything, and it's something that we have to continue to work on. Now, oh, I'm going a little over. I said we'd be 30 minutes, but that's okay. So, I want to share a quick story. I won't talk too long here, but this picture right here is Greg Todd. He's my main business coach at this point. And I'm going to share my story very briefly, but I will tell you that I thank God that this man sold to me. Now, Greg first sold to me with a webinar that I was on. Gave him my time. Then I got on his email list. I gave him my email. Then I got into his world through a $97 product. It was like a 21-day challenge. Then I joined a program that was $3,600. This was a longer program called Smart Success Healthcare. And then from there, I ended up joining a high-level mastermind for $30,000, which feels it was insane at the time. But by joining that mastermind within 6 months, I was able to leave my full-time job and become a full-time entrepreneur and be present with my kids. And this picture here is me with my letter of resignation. This next picture here was actually this summer with my family when we were in Maui. And I look back over the last 4 years. I left my job 4 years ago, and I thank God that Greg Todd sold to me. Because had he never sold to me, I would still be working a full-time job, missing moments with my kids, and so many other things I'd love to share, but for sake of time, I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to shift really quickly, and this is going to, oh, no, review. We talked about 5 main things. We talked about confidence, what it is and how to get it. We talked about the foundations of what you need to know before you sell. We talked about the who, understanding who you're selling to. If you're selling to cold leads, then by golly, it's okay. We gotta nurture them. We gotta move them up that or down that awareness funnel. We talked about some different formats and different ways to sell different things, whether or not you're talking low ticket or high ticket. And then we dove into some selling mindset, those non-negotiables. Now, here's where I wanted to ask you guys to think of one thing that you can do to move up that scale. Now, I asked you guys at the beginning, where are you? I know, Dana, you put 2. April, you put 4-ish in April. I know you have a lot of confidence, but my hope is you guys can figure out what is one thing that you could do to move up at least one notch to get more comfortable with selling. Now, if you're like, I don't know, I got ideas. Maybe it could be, golly, I need to understand my audience better. I need to make sure I really understand where are they now, where do they want to be, and what can I do to help them close the gap. Maybe as I share that sales cycle, you're like, things were clicking like, oh, golly, I need more people to sell to. I really need to work on building my audience and serving people more. Maybe you need to reconsider who you sell to. Am I selling to cold leads? Do I need to move people up the awareness cycle? Talking to more people, honestly, this is something I think we all could benefit from. Having more conversations, talking to more people, but then also making more offers. I think this is a big problem a lot of people have is you're not putting out offers enough. You're not selling enough because you're in your head of like, no one's going to buy. So maybe it's just making more offers. Maybe it's making an offer this week. So here, oh, I see some comments. Okay, I'm going to read that in a second. But here's my turn to sell, and I'm going to sell quickly because remember, selling is helping. And I wrote a little book called Dietitian Side Hustle. You can find it at dietitiansidehustlebook.com. I released it last month, and I created this book to help. This is the last time you're going to see this graphic. I've been working with dietitians for a long time. I am very aware of where dietitians are, and if you're on a webinar about selling, you obviously want to help people. You are an entrepreneur. You want to continue to make more money, help more people. So looking at where you are now to where you want to be, and everyone's journey looks a little different, I wanted to help close that gap. I have a podcast, I've got programs, I've got a website, I got a Facebook group, but I wanted to create a book where everything was all in one place to help close that gap, to help dietitians to live their dreams and change the world. It's on the top of my book if you could see it. So this book is now available on Amazon and it is a low ticket offer. So it is a product you can get it on Kindle for 10 bucks. You can get a paperback for 20 25 bucks. If you want to go fancy and get the hardcover, it's very nice. It is a little bit more to print. So it's $35. Or if you're an Audible person, you could use your credit or buy it on Audible. So you can find the book by going to at the top dietitiansidehustlebook.com or just go to Amazon and type in dietitian side hustle. It should pull the book up. If it doesn't pull up the book, put the word book or put my name. This is just a quick outline of what is in the book, and there's a lot of information. I'm not going to cover all of this, but it dives into selling, it dives into money, it dives into all those foundational things that we need to do when it comes to selling, to making impact, to helping people. So that is my quick selling plug. Now, we're at the end of the webinar. My goal was 30 minutes. We're at 37 minutes for me. That's pretty darn good. So I want to thank you guys for coming. I want to thank you guys for watching the replay. And my final words for you guys is you better sell, my friend. There are people out there that need what it is that you have to offer. Selling is helping. If you're uncomfortable with it, that's okay. We talked about the foundations. I want you to lean in and continue to sell with confidence because you have things that the world truly needs. So we do have a little bit of time for Q&A if anyone has it, and I'm going to read these comments that you guys shared. Oh, more people showed up. Hey, friends. I didn't see you guys show up. So, okay. So April shared, I wish they taught this in dietetics. 100%. Dana, I need to build confidence in my offer. I spent the last year building something and now I feel like it's packaged wrong. I also need help with visibility. 100%. It's getting more eyeballs on your stuff, finding the people who need what it is you have to offer. And when it comes to packaging, again, there's so many things we could have talked about, but in half an hour, I was trying to cram everything in. But one of the biggest things when it comes to selling, we talked about where are you now, where do you want to be, how do we close the gap? We need to be able to communicate with such clarity what someone gets when they work with us. And it's not like, again, you might be selling different things. It might be you get a package where you work with me for this many hours, or you get a course that's 6 weeks long. Sometimes we're focused on the tangibles of here is exactly what you get, but that can overwhelm people. What people want to know is what's in it for me? How can you help me? I'm struggling. I want to stop struggling. And we need to be able to clearly articulate the outcome. If you work with me, if you buy this product, this is what you are going to get. So, yeah, yeah. April, yes, learning more about audience, making more offers. Amy, I love your book. Oh, thank you. Listening to the Audible book daily. I'm so excited my book's on Audible. That was a lot of work to get on Audible, but oh golly, that's yeah. I'm very proud of that. Thank you. April, your book is the first search result on Amazon. Okay. When I first well, I joined a mastermind to help me write the book and I learned all the strategy to make sure the book would come up on Amazon because there's a whole strategy to make sure your stuff's searchable and findable, and I'm glad it was. Okay, Catherine. I missed most of this sharing due to help with a neighbor. Clarity is important, listening so carefully. So, Catherine, I'm going to send out the replay. It's a short webinar. You'll be able to watch it, but really what we talked about is building confidence, the foundations of what you need to know before you sell, making sure you're selling to the right person. And we talked about cold, warm, and hot leads, different formats for, selling low, mid, high ticket, and then selling mindset. So I'll send out that replay. I do have to run. I'm going to a dinner tonight with my church small group, but when I get home, I'm going to download and upload and send it out. Now, I know it'll be late for a lot of you who are on the East Coast, but it will be coming out soon, and it's only like 37 minutes, so you could watch it real quick. Does anyone have questions for me? Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys joining me today, and I hope that you guys got something out of this. I hope that there was at least one nugget and takeaway, maybe a lot, that you'll leave this with and continue to feel more confident with selling. So, thank you guys. And also, one last plug is I'm doing in 2 weeks on Monday, I am doing goal setting for 2026. So if you guys want like some guidance, I got a workbook. We're going to be doing a whole like training and workshop. Go to katiedodd.com. That's my Linktree page, and you can sign up for that little training. So thanks for joining me and have such a great week. Bye, you guys.